Guys, make some noise, please. Daniel Levy, Eugene Levy, Annie Murphy, Emily Hampshire. Schitt's Creek right here, people. This is it. Oh, my goodness. Welcome.
Thanks for having us back.
Oh, my God. It is so great to have you back. This has become like an annual tradition for us now.
We look forward to it.
Oh, so do we.
We do.
It's so nice to have you back.
Yeah.
So I want to get into season 4. I really do. There's so much to talk about. As I was saying earlier, it's probably one of my favorite seasons. You're very excited, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, we just get really excited. Our fans, the fans of the show, are kind of uber fans. They're really into the show, and that helps us. Well,
Case in point. Yeah.
Everyone here is paid, obviously.
Well, no, we only paid half of them.
Okay, great. Good. That's reassuring.
Yeah.
yeah, but it really helps when you have really strong fan support, and you want to just give them the best show you possibly can, so everybody works as hard as they can.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing, season 4. That's a long way from Dan coming up to me 6 years ago saying, "Hey, do you want to work with me on an idea for a show?" And here we are, season 4.
I know, I was going to say, I'm like, the day that you ask, how is it promoting the 4th season or whatever, next season of your show, and the answer is like, you know what, I'm really tired. I don't know, it's fine, it's just like work. I mean, you never stop being excited. Right. It is a complete thrill. The fact that we get to continue to tell these stories is amazing.
Well, it really is. It's an achievement, right? Because to get a full single series of television made alone, that's a big deal. But to keep going and to have 4 of them now, it's like the fire from Mount Olympus here. You've done it.
It's a needle in a haystack kind of situation. So we haven't taken it lightly. And I think our 4th is our best season yet. So for us, with every new opportunity, with every new season, we try to challenge not only our actors, but the way that we tell the stories, and ultimately hope to reward the audience in ways they didn't expect. And I think we're doing that, hopefully.
I think so, as an outsider, I think so as well.
Great.
I concur.
Wonderful.
I want to let's get into season 4 and talk about why it's the best yet and what's so great about it. I couldn't help but feel watching it that the roses aren't biding time until they escape anymore. It feels like they're really settling in. They're discovering themselves. They're discovering stuff about the town. What were your goals going into season 4? Someone who likes to push things forward and push your actors and push the story. What were you looking to achieve when you were working on this season?
I think it was really, we'd set up 3 seasons of these people getting to the town and slowly adjusting, and we thought at this point the audience, if they've watched the 3 seasons, is familiar enough, have been familiarized enough with the characters, which would allow us then to tell deeper stories and peel back the layers and start talking about the interrelationships instead of just purely circumstantial kind of storytelling. So season 4 is really, I think it's the funniest, but it's also the most emotional in a way, because we care so much, and we're able to really capitalize on that and tell meaningful stories with these characters in ways we've never been able to before. So it's exciting because you get to play a little drama in with the comedy, which is always fun.
There's an interesting new side to each character, each of the family members anyway, this season that you haven't seen before.
Stevie, nothing interesting.
Nothing much happens
nothing,
over here.
Nothing
Everyone
happens.
but Stevie, honestly, which I thought interesting choice. Actually, I would love to, if we could, run down the line and say, except for Stevie, of course, but talk about something you're really excited about this season that maybe you didn't get to do in a season past. And let's start on the end. Let's see. You can lie.
Yeah, nothing. I think I step outside of my desk for like a minute. But no, I like this season. This relationship I have with Johnny now is really lovely, especially for Stevie, who I've always thought from the beginning, I was like, who is Stevie's family? Like, where does this girl come from who's clearly really smart, but just living kind of the path of least resistance to do anything. So I like that this kind of relationship with Johnny there's a fatherly aspect to it. And then David and Patrick's relationship. Oh my God, I'm so scared about dying.
We're all gonna die.
We should clarify that's not because of David and Patrick's relationship.
Unrelated.
Actually, what I love about David and Patrick's relationship is that the girl isn't just tossed aside. Like, Stevie's not just, oh, now he's got a boyfriend and it's done. She's very involved in it, and I think in such a lovely way.
Eugene?
Yeah, it's a great friendship. It is a great friendship that David and Stevie have. And everybody's experiencing things. It's true. You know, this season, the idea of we have to get out of town is not at the front of everybody's brains in the Rose family now.
Always.
Always Moira.
Moira, maybe. She still wants to, you know, get out. In an ideal world, yes. But, you know, everybody is just kind of getting on with their lives, and the family is just, once again, learning to function as things are happening to these family members kind of for the first time in terms of their relationships. They're, like, you know, with Alexis, there's some melancholy involved. With David, there's a wonderful kind of relationship that he has never, you know, kind of experienced in his previous life. Moira is showing little sparks of being a very responsible kind of mother, giving advice
Very
and
responsible
encouragement.
to stretch. I think even responsible to stretch.
Glimmers. Maybe
Glimmers
sparks
of being
was too
a
strong a
mother.
word. Glimmers of
Whispers.
being a responsible mother. She gave you
Breezes.
very good advice when you were, you know, opening
Sure.
your store.
Yeah. When it counts, she's there.
Yeah, so for Alexis this season, it was really fun to play sad Alexis and heartbroken Alexis, because she's never, at age 30, she's never experienced a lot of important things like, you know, education and love and heartbreak. So playing sadness in someone who so tends to just seek the silver lining and make the best out of every situation was really fun. So yeah, I really liked that.
Cool.
That arc this season.
Dan?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think David has met someone that seems to be his equal in a very sort of yin-yang-y sort of way. And so we explore what that relationship's like this season with someone. And both he and Patrick are sort of going through new experiences. Patrick is freshly out of the closet, and David is experiencing what it is to be in a relationship with someone who actually respects him as a human being, which is very new and different for him. So it's been fun to play because you get to take these little baby steps of a relationship and, you know, hopefully tell a kind of truthful and meaningful story as you go.
It's such a fun story to watch, too, and without giving anything away, there's a wonderful moment in the open mic episode and all that. What is it, when you were constructing this arc, was it nice to be like, finally a win for David?
A little bit. Poor thing's gone through the tumble dry a bit.
He needed something.
When it comes to relationships. Yeah, I think he had been jaded and bitter enough, and we were ready to sort of crack him open a little bit and see what spills out. It's not a lot, actually, but you know, he's growing slowly and learning to trust. Yeah.
Very cool. We talked about what an achievement it is to hit a fourth season, and one of the things that with a lot of great television is by the time they get to that third and fourth season, they're really starting to find their voice. They've taken things they've learned in the beginning, they've applied it later. Are there specific tangible things that you can point to and say, oh, I learned on season 1 or 2 to do this or not to do this, and I'm applying that here in season 4 or anything like that?
We've been very thoughtful about the approach and the build of the show. And from season 1, I mean, it's a testament to our cast and our great actors. It really felt, and I'm speaking on behalf of the show, the audience might disagree, but it's felt very lived in from day one. These people, we hadn't gone through major character changes, which is what happens on a lot of TV shows where they get like audience response being like, we like her better with a braid. And suddenly the characters changed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we had a trajectory for this show, and it was a slow burn in terms of first you have to get the circumstance covered and figure out where this family fits in, and then season after season the intention was to always continue to strengthen this family and deepen the relationships and slowly have them realize that the money that they had so relied on was in fact not at all what was binding them together, and that love and familial intimacy is something that they hadn't expected.
Right.
And I'm just finally starting to learn how to be an actor on a set who, hits the
What?
mark and finds her light. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's all slowly starting to fall
Just a
into place.
consummate professional. Yeah.
Eugene, with your experience in the world and in the field, is there anything that you've learned, maybe working with family this closely for this long, entering season 4, something that's new to you entering this season?
Well, it's always. I mean, it's always a kick. It's a very still kind of a surreal world doing a show, working with your family, working with my son, working with my daughter. I love it, and they both Dan and Sarah have made me so proud with the work they're doing on the show. The funny thing is, when I'm working with Dan in a scene, it really I'm dealing with my son. It's very kind of like, are we acting here? Are we? Or is this real life?
Let's hope sometimes we're acting. That'd be deeply dysfunctional.
Yes, Dan is acting a little weird in this scene, but nevertheless, and working with Alexis as my daughter, a testament to Annie's talent on the show. It really feels like I'm dealing with my daughter when I'm working with Annie in a scene, and when I'm working with my real daughter Sarah
like I'm working
in a
with the
scene,
waitress.
it feels in a strange way. It still feels like I'm dealing with my daughter.
Is there anyone on
those
set that
waters get
doesn't
muddy a
feel
little
like
bit.
a son or daughter? Is there anybody that
Stevie.
just is completely alien to you? Is there?
There's a few people on the crew.
Okay. I get. Yeah.
Yeah, but it really is. The whole cast and crew. There's such a sense and a feeling of family on the show that it's just the best way to work.
Touching on that familial vibe, Emily, you and Stevie and Johnny share the relationship we talked about a little bit earlier. They're working a lot more closely together. Did you guys work on that off camera and discuss that before getting in, like rehearsal or stuff like that, or was
For
it all
months.
Months. We actually opened a motel, too.
They're very method.
Just to get the experience.
Yeah. Working together.
It was no. I think it just kind of happened like everything on this show. It just from day one, it just kind of happens. Everybody kind of hits the mark they're supposed to hit. The emotional high point or low point or midpoint that they're supposed to hit.
Emily's shaking her
It
head.
was, but it's so. I mean, Stevie's such a great character. Love the character of Stevie. Love everything, about. Love your wardrobe. Love the way you're. You know what I mean?
love
You
my
just love hanging behind the desk, and the idea of Johnny working with Stevie now running this motel was a really kind of great kind of story direction for Johnny, and it was just a great kind of opening up this businessy kind of relationship.
Yeah. But I think on the show that art kind of does imitate life in that this family that's behind the show really does trickle down, and it does feel like a family on the set, and it does feel like we all kind of slip into our roles really naturally. One of the best things, though, that I ever saw was when I was working with Eugene, and Dan had given Eugene a note, and it was just so wonderful because Eugene then executed the note and then immediately looked up to Dan like most actors do. You want approval, and looked up to Dan, and Dan is texting. And
I had work to do.
Yeah.
The note was
And he's like-
accomplished. We move on.
it was just, so you do see the different roles in this.
I only waited 5 minutes for that response that I never got.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about how you take all the clothes home when we're not shooting and wear them.
That is true. I do borrow Stevie's wardrobe. And Ten the other day was like, what? Wardrobe?
She was like, I take it all home and then I bring it all back. And I was like, oh, are you telling anyone that you're doing this? Or
I do. Her
Victimless
jeans.
crime. It comes back.
It's true. Listen, we can always get another pair of jeans.
And what else
I
is
guess
she
a
gonna
flannel shirt. If one goes missing.
What else is she going to wear in that motel they got?
It's true. They're very comfortable clothes, which is a luxury because
It is. When I see Catherine and Annie walking around in those heels all day, I feel really bad for you, but not bad enough to get back up.
Offer us your seat, or
Well, I mean, we can't talk about the show without talking about the clothes. And I mean, like everybody is on point. You know, Johnny's suits, your sweaters, at literally every single thing Catherine is in. Your outfit, everybody's outfits are incredible. What was the idea going in? Like, how I feel like no matter how adjusted they become to the town, the Roses will never waver in their commitment to a good look, like a solid.
absolutely. There is just a room somewhere at that motel packed to the brim with clothes. We don't know where it is.
your fire hazard.
But we just keep pulling from them.
Yeah.
No, I think the clothes are like a necessary part of the story. They allow us to continually remind the audience that these people came from extreme wealth without having to write it. Right. You know, they constantly remind everybody that, oh, these people do not fit in. And I also think they help us get into character, really. Like, you know, they're not comfortable. I mean, I get comfortable clothes. They just don't have a crotch. They just fall to the ground. They're like weird sweatpants and droopy things. But Annie and Catherine's fittings are quite extreme, and you know.
And I just love that, you know, the costumes themselves are so outrageous, but then the costumes in specific situations are just so over the top. Like my favorite, I think my very favorite so far is when Alexis went to break up with Ted for the first time, and she's wearing this like Statue of Liberty headband that boings around on top of her head whenever she moves it. And that's just what she felt was the appropriate thing to do in this situation.
That's the tone we're trying to set.
Yeah.
I know you've talked that early on there was a lot of eBaying and a lot of hunting for. As you've entered season 4, have they given you
Absolutely not.
nothing? No.
We are still
They've
as
tightened it, if
scrappy as we
anything.
were day one.
But has your shopping addiction?
Yeah, the shopping addiction has escalated to an alarming place. No, I mean, again, to your point, in terms of, you know, the clothes on the show, we wanted it to feel authentic. We wanted, you know, people who were interested in fashion to be able to pick apart different, you know, looks that they've seen on the runway. We didn't want it to be high street fashion. We wanted it to be real stuff. And in order to do that on a shoestring budget, you really have to just, I have like eBay, there's an app called Grailed, there's an app called The Real Real, there's an app called, and they're all just second, you know, consignment luxury clothes that I just am constantly scouring, trying to find things that fit within our budget that are, you know, and we found some really amazing things. So when the show is over, I will just continue to spend, and
That's just the thing you
suddenly
do
I'll
now.
be under a bridge with just a ton of clothes and no home.
Well,
But
you
yeah,
know, wardrobe fittings too are not the most fun thing when you're on a production and going in and trying on clothes. But people cannot wait, including Stevie, to get into these outfits. You know, there's a genuine sense of excitement about you know, all these outfits that are laid out by
well, season
Dan
1,
and
you're testing
Deborah.
the waters, particularly with Catherine. It's like, well, how far can we push it? And then you put her in the clothes, and you're like, well, I guess we can push it one step farther. And then she wears something else, like a weird hat, fur Russian hat. And then you're like, well, this works. How much farther can we push it next season?
And then she dons
So-
a literal garbage bag, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is really good.
Somehow
looking
it
and
works.
expensive.
Like a gray-green wig. You know, it really is. It's a wonderful thing because she can wear anything. So we have the freedom to really, you know, go as far-reaching as we possibly can with it.
Do you find the costumes, as you go crazier and crazier, do they amplify her character and her performance? Can you see it infused and sort of, or is she just always operating at that high level?
The outfits, like in all of our cases, really act as heightening the stakes and the tension of a scene. So for example, with Annie, we had that headpiece sort of lying around, and suddenly the scene came up and we thought, well, this would be an insane thing to put on, which is just constantly like, distract, 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 I'm breaking up with you, distract, distract, distract. And with Moira, usually when she's put in precarious situations or things where she's feeling vulnerable, she will go one step further to sort of prove that she doesn't have anything to prove. So there are varying degrees of Moira's and Alexis's wardrobes that really come out to play depending on the stakes in the scene.
Who is responsible for ruining the most amount of takes and causing you guys to crack up and break the most? Because there are so many funny people on this show that I can't imagine you get through a day on schedule without breaking a million times.
I would say Chris with you. I watch that a lot.
Yeah, Eugene has a serious problem whenever he's in a scene with Chris Elliott, because Chris makes it his life mission to make Eugene break, and is successful every single time.
I'm usually so professional on a set, and have been on stage and in front of a camera. It's when people try to make you laugh, I can get through it. Not Chris. He's just got my number. And he's just he's such a great spirit on the set. He keeps things, he reminds everybody that, you know what, we're doing a comedy. It's okay to have fun, on the set. It's usually fun on the set, but Chris just goes nuts sometimes. He just, like, he'll go off in these little tangents, and, right up till the director yells action. He'll be yakking. When the guy comes in with the clapboard, to say, take scene 32, take one, and you'll hear Chris behind the clapboard going, don't put that in front of my face. Don't put it in front of my, don't put it in front of my action. Okay, Johnny, I want to tell you something. If you come in here, and he's right in the scene.
Yeah, he can snap back into it, no problem, but literally everyone else is just left in his dust, giggling.
Do you have a particular moment that you recall where Chris just got you so hard, so good, and you were like, oh man?
Well, I do, and Emily was in that scene. It was Chris was giving me golf tips.
From behind.
So he was behind me with his arms wrapped around me, giving me some tips, and I said, okay, this is ridiculous. No, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I will show you how to swing a golf club, and then I get behind Chris, and I wrap my arms around his and put my hands over his, and I say, okay, now you got your knees bent, right, for balance, knees bent for knees bent for balance, and you're using the Vardon grip. Yes, I'm using Le Vardon. And I say, and you have the fingers interlocked, and you have your thumb extended right down the shaft, and I hear Chris say, oh, you better believe it. And up to that point, I was fine, and I broke, and I couldn't get it back, and I couldn't get it back, and I couldn't get it back, until the director had to come on the set, as they do in moments where the cast is just gone, and they come out and just say, okay, all right, fellas. I get it. It's really funny. But here's the thing. We're losing light, okay? So we've got to get this, or we're not going to get it. So really, let's try to pull it together, okay? And that didn't work. So then it got scary.
Fantastic.
But memories and stories and good stories, yes.
Do you guys have any particular memories of scenes where you just completely lost it? I got to throw the audience in a second, but these are always really so much fun.
There was
no
a
pressure.
dinner scene where we were all at dinner.
Oh, the lasagna.
It was all the kids sitting around a
That
table.
was the
Season
first
1.
Season 1.
Yeah.
And
it was
Stevie and David had just slept together. And Ted announces it over at a dinner. And something about, I don't know what it was, it would be a better story if I did, that made us crack up, but we just, and again, the director's coming in being like, okay, we're on
got
take
mad.
76, okay? And no one's laughing anymore. So if you could just, thank you so much. And the funniest part about it was that Tim Rozon, who plays Mutt, had no idea why any of us were laughing. And so we were just breaking up. And meanwhile, he's sitting across the table with zero clue, getting increasingly more concerned, frustrated, annoyed.
Yeah.
And
made
I
it
think to
only
this
funnier
day,
for us.
never quite understood what did.
Yeah.
And then it's out of control.
Yeah. Ben, you've got a great laugh too. Your laugh is just really just loud and boisterous, and you were going crazy at that table.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. I don't know why. I feel like it had to do with the lasagna, but I don't know why.
Just got goofy. It was the end of the day. You've been working a long day, and
Totally. You get to that point. everybody
you
gets
get to
loopy.
that point.
Yeah. Awesome. The last question I want to ask before we get to audience Q&A, because I was very curious about this, is Catherine O'Hara's Moira, like all of her characters, is like an instant classic, and she'll hit like a certain line in a certain way and read it. Like there was one, I wrote it down in the first episode, where she says like she killed a man and adds like 5 vowels. Yeah, I killed a man. Like all this stuff. Do you, when you're writing those moments, do you have any idea of where she's going to attack it from? Is it always just a complete surprise of how she breathes life into that dialogue? Into
We
those
try
words?
to feed it as
Yeah.
best we can. Like I have a thesaurus app on my computer while I'm writing, and it's always like if you get to a word and you're like, this feels very sort of pedestrian, Moira would say it differently. And then you find the most obscure reach of a word and throw it in, and inevitably she will finesse it with that accent. We try and throw her enough stuff to play with, but it's always the unexpected.
Yeah, that's it. Like, no matter how flowery the language is that is written into the script, she does things like make the word man like 45 letters long with all this like varying intonation.
It's also really fun too, because there's a scene where she and I are making enchiladas. Two highly incapable people making a very simple dish. And it was really, we were struggling with it. But the fun thing is to, from a writer's perspective, we were just talking about enchiladas, and I was like, what if you said enchilada? And she was like, yes, absolutely. And then she enchilada'd her way through it. It was a dream.
Yeah. How old was he? She got 9 syllables on the word how. But that's what Catherine brings. That's what you get with Catherine. She just brings so much to her roles. You get what you want, and then you get stuff that is just icing on the cake. That you wouldn't have expected, and it really makes a moment funnier and even more heartfelt.
Having worked with her and having the history that you have with her, people confuse you guys for actually being married when you go out in public. And I was reading a story about, where's your wife and where's your husband? And they think
You're reading the Post this morning?
Well, I was reading everything.
What?
I was reading everything. But my question is, you have this connection. You've worked with her for so long. Does she still find ways to surprise even you when you guys are working together on set?
Well, always.
Yeah.
I mean, always, but that just comes with the territory. That's just the way, she works. She's always thinking, always willing to try little moments, here and there. And when she does that, that kind of, it affects the people working around her as well, right? Because it will alter how you respond to her if she's kind of throwing something in or giving you a little bit of a curve. It obviously changes your reaction. So that's the fun. That's the fun part about working with Catherine is you always know what you're going to get. You always know you're going to get the best performance, but you're going to get stuff you honestly never expected, and it's always good.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that. We're going to turn it over to the audience. We got some microphones in the room. The first question, I believe, is right here.
Hi, thanks for being here today. Obviously, without giving away too much, what moments are you looking forward to fans seeing, and are there any new characters that we can look forward to?
I'm scared.
Huh.
Anyone go?
Well,
Don't be scared. I'll just get really mad if you spoil anything.
the other night, somebody asked us about the weather in Schitt's Creek, how great it is all the time, and asked if there would ever be any winter there. And I'm not saying there is going to be. I'm just saying that if there was, I would be wearing the cutest hat. That's all I'm looking. That's if there was. I'm not saying there is, but if there was, yeah.
Oh, my palms always sweat when
Theoretical
pushing it down.
conversations we're having.
Yeah, nice and vague. And there are a couple of blasts from the past this season.
Yeah, the fun thing because we don't do guest stars, like we don't have huge celebrity sort of guest stars. We do, usually the people that we bring on are people from the past or people from, that help to sort of uncover where these people came from. So there are a couple strangers that show up from their past.
You guys have a lot of celebrity fans. Is there a reason you don't ever fold in a guest star, or like a narrative reason, like a?
It would really have to be the right fit. I think we've created this little sort of nugget of a world, and the minute you put someone incredibly recognizable into that world, it sort of detracts from the story you're telling. And it works, I think, when the show is reliant on celebrity cameos, but I guess we haven't felt the need for it.
It kind of breaks. It does. It affects the reality you're trying to create as well. We would get. I know when the films that Chris Guest and I did after Guffman, we would get calls from Brad Pitt's representatives, saying Brad would be very interested in being in the next picture. How do you
What?
Brad Pitt? What's that? What's that?
Continue? No, I'm learning something new.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No.
wow.
Yes.
And you guys said no.
We said, who needs them? Who needs them?
So, but
No, because it's hard to put Brad, when you create a reality to your product, it's hard to put somebody in and not have them play themselves. Yeah. If they're playing themselves, that's a whole other scenario. You can find a way of bringing them into town or whatever. But if they're playing a character, people are just going, oh, look who it is. Yeah. Oh my God! And you're right out of the story.
but if
That
Brad
said,
calls,
Oprah is guesting next
Yeah.
season in a really cute part.
None of your dad has anything to say about it. No.
I'm done.
We have two more questions, but I feel like you were about to say something. No, you're good.
it was only about if Brad Pitt calls to play Alexis's boyfriend or
Just-
whatever
just wanted to
on the
weigh
off
in.
chance.
We'll entertain it.
Yeah, please.
Be on the record.
Please, please, please.
Saying you're pro that call. Got it. Two
Pro
more
Pitt.
questions. Pro Pitt. Next one's right. Oh no, I'm sorry. Where's the microphone? There it is. There it is.
Hi guys. I love the show. I've never belly laughed so hard and woken up my roommates, and it's one of the greatest ensembles in a really long time in television history. I really love the show. I miss that Catherine is not here because my question was for Eugene and Catherine. I wanted to know, you were mysteriously absent from the last 2 Christopher Guest movies, and I wondered if there was anything in the works or if you had any great stories.
Well, I didn't, I had a discussion with Chris some years ago about what we might be able to do next, and my own take was it's very hard to keep doing, these kind of, he always hated the word mockumentary, these comic documentaries. Because they were getting into kind of a cookie cutter pattern for me, which is like you're changing the subject of the movie, but everything kind of is familiar. So I said we really need to do something, find a different angle, a different way to tell a story. The story has to be more interesting and whatever else. So I didn't want to kind of do more of the same, but he did. So he went on and did a couple of things, but I still would love to find a way of hooking in with Chris and finding some kind of fresh approach for a film using that great ensemble of actors. That would be fun. We just haven't come up with it yet. Okay.
That said, do you ever find yourself, having done those films and walking around and encountering a scenario or an entire world where you go, this would be perfect for that style of film. We could totally do a lot with this. Like, do you ever encounter something like that and you get that spark?
Well, I think the thing was that spark, I think for me, was to try and do some kind of Christmas movie with that group, and it was an idea that he wasn't necessarily that hot on. That was enough of a
I would have
a
watched that.
change for me. That would have been kind of a fun thing to see that group of people on the cover of a Christmas DVD. But and not to say it might not happen down the line, but yeah.
All right. Well, I can do this all day, but I'm getting the signal. We got to wrap things up. You guys got a million and one things to get on and go do. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with us, for making the 4th season of this show. I look forward to seeing you guys again next year when we get season 5.
Fingers crossed.
It's gonna come on, it's gonna happen. This show's incredible. Season 4 premieres on Pop TV tomorrow night, guys. It's January 24th for those tuning in around the world, 8/7 Central. One more time, make some noise. Schitt's Creek, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.